I think we'll go ahead and get started. Um, So first, and I'm sure that Reverend Matthias will get here as we get into the meat of the meeting. First, are there any public comment for agenda or non-agenda items? Here comes Reverend Matthias. Do you have public comment, or did you fill out your card? You have 3 minutes to speak.
My apologies.
Before we get going, and because we've had different, for the last couple months, we've had different scheduled dates. It's been moved, whatever it was, so I think that I just forgot that there was a set month, and since my calendar has a meeting every week for this.
Yeah, mine too.
Yours, okay, ours, so it's just kind of like, we're just always ready to have a committee meeting. The next scheduled meeting, which is what we did originally settle on, even though we've long ago forgotten it, is the first Thursday of each month. So that means that the next scheduled meeting is May 2nd, which is pretty quick coming up. And I want to, at least by the end of the meeting, confirm that we want to do that. I mean, the May 2nd date should still work. We will be discussing the new teacher evaluation systems. So we will be eventually moving to a reworked teacher evaluation system. And so as Kim Davis knows here, as we ran for school board in the fall, was one of the major issues that teachers wanted to talk about. So it's our work, and we will be, as a board, deciding in collaboration with the administration what that evaluation will look like. And so it's a pretty important meeting. And so I want to make sure that we're good to go in just 2 more weeks to do this again. So anybody have any problems with that? Anybody in you guys good with us going on May 2nd? I know, Superintendent, when we talked, we were kind of thinking May 16th, but does May 2nd work? Or should we move it to May 16th?
The date that you gave Julie, I think is okay. I wasn't available, but the team was going to be available. And Sharon is out right now.
Right, I know, Sharon's out, and then unfortunately, when Sharon gets back, I'm leaving for a week. And so I would be available on May 2nd, but I wouldn't be available to meet with her before that. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but.
I don't know where they are in the process, Dr. Baker, of gathering the information. I can't imagine they would not be ready, but I don't know.
Okay, let's keep it at the 2nd for now, but we will, within a week, if we change it, let people know. Okay? All right, so, thank you. All right, so we're ready to go. You're here for instructional council?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good afternoon, Dr. Baker, board members. I'd like to bring you an update from the council, instructional council, that took place on March 14th of this year. The council met and heard a proposal from Ottawa Hills, specifically about the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. And our presenter was Mr. Lewis, who brought to us the course plan as well as a proposed syllabi for those courses for that academy. He presented 2 syllabus to the committee, to the council. The first one that was presented was a syllabus for the 9th grade course called Principles of Hospitality and Tourism. And that course is really is based and anchored in the course that was developed by NAF. NAF stands for the National Academy Foundation, which is one of the major partners for the Academy of Tourism and Hospitality. The course value is being placed that it will be a 0.5 credit for students who take the course as an elective as part of the academy. We also discussed as to how might the course be staffed, or the teacher certification for the course. And he shared with us that for sure the teacher assigned to the course will need to be endorsed with CTE, the Career Technical Education endorsement, but also with the emphasis in business and consumer sciences, so we can focus on the theme of the academy. The second course that he presented to the council is called Delivering Great Customer Service. Again, this course was also based on the foundational course that was developed by NEF, or the foundation, the National Academy Foundation, which again has its manual offerings in the specific area that we are focusing on of hospitality and tourism. And that course is a twin to the principles of hospitality principles that was presented earlier. Again, the same discussion happened about the teacher cert, and what does that look like? And again, it was clarified that teacher will be endorsed in our career technical education with an emphasis in business sciences, business consumer science, because of the focus of the academy. Overall, the council was very, very happy about what we're hearing, and we supported the proposal unanimously to go forward. So that means that the next step will be for Mr. Lewis and the team to bring back an update once the courses have been fully tried out or piloted for the first year, to hear how the course went and how things happened in the course, so we can give feedback and hear how it proceeded. But overall, the council really thought this was a very good idea and supported the idea fully. Beyond that, just for your information, we are meeting again on April 25th of this month as a council. We are going to hear some updates from other courses that were proposed last year that ran this year as pilots. So we can bring it to you what that, how that transpired over the year, so we can hear progress and tweaks that happened in the courses that we've been taught this year. Are there any questions about what I shared?
Now, do we have kids that have already signed up for this particular academy at Ottawa Hills? We have, and do we have a 30-person cohort or a 60, or what do we have?
So we're looking for a cohort of about 20 to 25.
Oh, okay,
Based on the number of students we have in the school currently.
okay,
And so we're working to get towards that number as we move towards opening up school August 20.
okay. So the kids are signing up for classes now, and they could pick
So
these?
master schedules have been done, kids are getting placed into their individual student schedules.
And has there been considerable interest in this particular?
So we have quite a few students that are interested in the program. I've got 44 kids or persons of interest for the program. I have a letter going out to them to meet with them, probably school up to the microphone.
We're kind of jumping ahead to your piece anyway, but,
I'm sorry, I should.
it's okay, no, that's all right.
So we have 44 students that are interested in the program. Myself and Colleen Holmes, which is a school improvement facilitator at Ottawa, has helped me go out and go to all the 8th grade classrooms or schools that we can look at drawing kids to the program. And so we're going to try to meet with them as early as next week, them and their families, so that we can get them to finalize the application process.
But as it relates to the instructional council, this is kind of a good example, because we're getting ready to go into a conversation about these academies at Ottawa Hills. And so it's really good to know, once there's an academy created, there's usually an idea of a curriculum connected to it, but then there's actually the process of getting courses and teachers. So this is a really good model or example.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna ask as well. I was glad that you're talking to parents, because I think it's critical to get them excited about what that looks like. And the more visuals we have in front of them, I think the more excited they can feel about their future, their kids getting into a career and those kinds of things. So I'm glad to hear that.
Dr. Baker, I can ask that if the instructional council is finished, and if we move to the
Yeah.
second item, rather than blending the two.
Yeah, I agree. So I just want to make sure that as we move, that we are trying to, so we're understanding the process, that in a way, these are like schools, mini schools that we're creating. And so there's a process that we're getting ready to discuss about the way these schools are being created. This is later, so instructional council, and it just happened that instructional council ended up doing this in March. So once the school is completed, then we have to create courses for it and staff it. And so it's really good to know that then the instructional council's role in this is approving the curriculum and the courses as it goes. And so I would imagine that the instructional council would continue to do that as new courses come along. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
okay,
There's
that's,
a role.
okay, perfect.
I don't know if this fits in, I kind of think it does, but is the instructional council or anyone looking at, like when I look at, we need a teacher with certification in career and technical education with emphasis in business or consumer science. Are we looking ahead at all as to what possible endorsements will be needed for possible other schools?
Yeah, so I think that does move us into the next
Okay.
conversation, so,
Okay.
so,
Perfect.
so, well, you can still sit there.
Am I?
'cause-
Yeah, you can give excuse, thank you.
So, all right. So, it's a great lead-in, but it ended up being too much of a lead-in, so anyway. All right, so, the next step goes into kind of, to our work, and I think that we'll probably have to continue this later on as well, but,
All right.
go ahead.
So good afternoon, Dr. Baker, Ms. Downs-Lewis, Ms. Davis, Reverend Matias. We have been charged with the task of sharing with you this Ottawa Hills High School Academy model. So Mr. Lewis is going to walk you through about 5 or 6 components of this particular model. And then, of course, we will answer any questions related to Ottawa Hills or the Academy. So Mr. Lewis is going to talk about curriculum development, that process and adoption of a curriculum. We're going to talk about the various Academy partnerships, and as you will see throughout our presentation, there are many. We're going to talk about how the program prepares students to be college ready. One thing that is very interesting, as we've learned throughout this entire process of creating centers of innovation, is we've learned how to work smarter. And one of the ways that we've learned how to work smarter is to partner with entities that will help us write curricula for all of these programs. If you think about Innovation Central, we had teachers, practitioners in the field who are essentially working with our curriculum coordinators to write curricula for all of these courses. And what we found is that's not always the best way to do it, and there are many bumps in the road when you do it that way, and you can really hit the ground running when you partner with an organization like the National Academies Foundation out of New York. So Mr. Lewis is going to walk you through their website, point out a couple of things to you on that, and then we're going to conclude with what we believe the strengths of the program are, and then ultimately a program launch. So not only will we be sharing the program launch dates, but as we shared last time, we have some suggestions for offerings we'd like to see in the future. Nothing is etched in stone, but we would like to share with you our best thinking at this time. So without any further ado, Mr. Lewis, take it away.
Thank you. Dr. Baker, good evening. Academic Achievement Committee members, good evening as well. Today I'm going to talk to you about several of the things that Dr. Gorman just mentioned. And I'd like to start first with the curriculum development process and the adoption. And Dr. Colin Blue shared a lot with you about how that process took place with the adoption process. But the curriculum is pre-designed, pre-programmed out of with connection with the National Academy Foundation out of New York, as was stated earlier. And so what we did as a team at Ottawa Hills High School, we had an academy design team, which was encompassing of school members from Ottawa Hills and post-secondary and some industry rep as well. So Experience Grand Rapids, Grand Valley State University, and our school team sat down as a academy design team and looked at the curriculum package that NAF offers in the area of hospitality and tourism specifically. And so we were able to craft a 4-year course sequencing that supported this academy and the program. And what was very interesting was the fact that the industry representatives, along with the post-secondary support, they were able to help us think through what that process really should look like moving forward from 9th grade all the way through 12th grade. And so each academy will meet the Michigan Merit curriculum standards and the district graduation requirements that we have with Grand Rapids Public Schools. And each academy will have specific course sequencing that is connected back to the specific academy. And what is interesting is one of our goals was not to just allow kids to look through it from a career lens, but we also wanted to look at it from a post-secondary perspective. So most of the academies will have dual enrollment connected to the academy, where they would go out their junior, senior years, and they'll be able to take college classes and get direct credit for it. So they have an opportunity to go into the real career area with the courses that we're offering within the program, but also they can go out to post-secondary. As far as the course adoption process, Dr. Kalambua kind of spelled it out, but you have to, we took the NAV course syllabi from their website and worked with Marcy Acott, which is the representative that we work with through NAV to support our work. And so we fundamentally just went through every line item to make sure it's exactly what we wanted to support within our academy model, and then we rewrote it in the course syllabus for Grand Rapids Public Schools, the template that we use for that. I think you guys should have an electronic copy of both. So that's the model we use, and then from that we went on to, I went on to present those two course syllabi templates to the instructional council, and they were able to give some feedback, and some changes were made, and then we submitted the final draft for both. Both were approved, as Dr. Kalambua said, unanimously, and so we are ready to go as it relates to the two courses that we're going to adopt for the academy for this fall, or this school year. Academy partnerships, there are multiple partnerships. There was a small team led by John Helmholt to help support us, and the superintendent that supported us with the development process for the partnerships that we have here.
This is the hospitality one.
So this is the broad perspective. So this will be partners that we'll have for all the academies, and we're actually growing as well. I've got a couple more to add to from some meetings I've had at a conference, and so we're going to utilize these individuals, organizations to support the academy model as it relates to internships, as it relates to guest speakers that come in to speak to the kids, the job shadows that we'll have with the students as well. And so we'll have a multitude of levels that they can participate in, but there'll also be advisory committee partners with us as well. So they'll help us continue to shape the academies as we move forward. So the next slide talks about the academy model, how we lead into career and college readiness. One of the things that we're doing from a career readiness perspective is we are linking what we do with the courses that we have to the industry partners that we have. And so that'll be visioned internally within the school and externally when they go out to see the organizations and get some job level experience to help support their career readiness. They'll also have 120 unpaid and paid internship hours that they will have to produce before they leave the program. So that's one of the workforce careers development processes that we have in place to support career readiness. As it relates to college readiness, so we have the Michigan Merit curriculum. And so over a 4-year period, the sequencing allows for kids to be college ready. One of the avenues that we use or measures that we use to figure out whether or not kids are college ready is the Michigan Merit Exam, which deals with SAT, ACT work keys, and the M-STEP testing. And so that is the Michigan Merit Exam's entire process. And that happens during their junior year of high school. And so additionally, they'll be able to take direct credits with either Grand Rapids Community College, Fair State University, and/or Grand Valley State University. So that will support the college readiness component.
So the key requirements of the academy model are career readiness, they must complete. So every student in an academy would complete something that looks like a 120-hour internship. And then they also all would complete 2 college classes.
Yes, that is the goal, to get up to 6 college credits.
Okay.
But they also have to ensure, and we have to ensure and put proper supports in place, because you have to have a 2.5 grade point average to take dual enrollment.
Okay, that's important.
And then the class structure will support that.
Say it
meaning
again, I'm
that
sorry.
If students are going to take college courses, we're not going to compete with our schedule. That's going to,
No.
No, so one thing that we've gotten really good at with our higher education partners is bringing the instructors onto our high school campuses. And in many instances, those classes meet 3 days a week. So let's say they meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday, we'll offer some types of supports for those particular classes with the GRPS staff.
So I kind of want to walk you through the website for NAF to give you guys a quick glimpse of what that looks like.
Can you tell us, how did you get connected to NAF?
So there was a visitation done in Washington, D.C. area led by the superintendent. And NAF was a partner out of one of the schools that were career and technical education school. And superintendent brought it back to the district, had conversations with a small group. And from there, I went out to Washington, D.C. to participate in their conference, their national conference, and thought it was a great program, and then we ran from there.
So this isn't just for hospitality, it's for all the
No,
all the
there
academies.
are so many curriculum options
Right.
that NAF provides and supports. You name it, they probably have it. There are hundreds of options.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the biggest programs or academies now is other, right? Yeah, so they're producing things that schools may want to deliver to their students, and so they're going out doing the research, creating the courses, and they have a standard model. So the biggest component is curriculum development and what that would look like in other.
And I think that's so important because as teachers, we did not go to school to write curriculum, right? So therefore, it's nice to have some experts coming in, guiding you along the way,
Absolutely.
ensuring that you're covering what needs to be covered. And also from an assessment perspective as well, right?
So they've got a website that talks about curriculum instruction. It talks about work-based learning academy, work-based learning academy development and structure. And then their biggest component is the advisory. They've got a series of courses that are listed within their curriculum library. Maybe. All right. So let's go out here. So here you'll have, let's say for instance, since we're bringing this one, launching this one on August 20, these are all the courses that you could take within the realm of the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. And so we selected 4 courses. So you have to take at least 4 courses to be able to get certified as a student that you have the skill sets to be in the industry of hospitality and tourism. And so We selected those for the students. We based them on, here's the first one that we have. Here's an overview. This is great customer service. Gives you scope and sequence of the course. It gives you the lesson descriptions and the lesson itself of the course. It tells you where you can go get other course supports. And then it gives you what culminating projects that they would have to do to complete the course within that semester. And then it talks a little bit about NAVTRAC certification. That process basically is, if you take those 4 courses, you get NAVTRAC certified. You have to take some end of the unit assessments as well. And they have probably 25 to 30 national companies that will take the NAVTRAC certification and hire students from these academies.
So, in other words, these 2 classes that we just heard about tonight, those are the classes that the ninth graders will take next year, or?
Yeah, so those are the entry-level classes.
Okay.
So the first class will be the Principles of Hospitality and Tourism, and that'll be first semester, and then the Customer Service class will follow second
And then
semester.
we've approved 2 more for their sophomore year, and then after their sophomore year, they're ready for the program, is that it?
Yeah, so let me show you. I've got some hard copies of what our 4-year plan looks like.
And we know that, our community college has associates in those areas, right? And so I see that we have them as a partner.
Yeah, in some of the areas. So they're going to help us within this program. It might be more towards the second phase in of this program, which will be culinary. But they do have programs that we are going to use, like advanced manufacturing, if we are to move forward with that program to help support us in that area as well.
Maybe I misunderstood. Culinary arts might be one of the next ones we do?
Well, it's in the sequence. So culinary arts was a part of the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. But from an entry perspective, as far as financial, we decided to push that back until we can make sure that we have the right supports to make that happen.
Like a kitchen.
Yeah.
Might be needed.
But if you look at the program course of study for the 4-year outlook, you'll see that at the bottom, the NAV courses, the 9th grade are the 2 I just talked about. 10th grade year, you'll move into hospitality marketing and event planning, and then the junior years, they will go into sustainable tourism and entrepreneurship. And every one of the academies, they'll have some component of customer service and entrepreneurship. Any questions there?
So everybody sees how this works. So the bottom is the academy work, and the top is the common curriculum.
Does this eliminate kids from being in things like band and art and?
No.
Extra, no, there's enough time still.
Especially towards the latter part of their high school years.
So this can be a challenge at times, right? And so if you look at the freshman year, English, math, social studies, science, health, PE, and then 2 hospitality and tourism courses, 1 that's taken in the first semester, 1 that's taken in the second semester. At times, what we need to do to get those classes in, like junior ROTC, music, choir, etc., we may need to offer a 0-hour or a 7th hour,
Okay.
right? So although not optimal, that's a way we can get it in if a student really wants to maximize his or her courses, especially as we get to junior and senior year, where they're taking these courses and maybe some dual enrollment courses, but want to stay in art or choir, etc. So we just have to get flexible with the master schedule, and it's worked relatively well at Innovation Central.
Where do we have a marching band? I know I see one at City.
Right.
City has a marching band.
The city has a marching band, that's correct.
Is that it then?
So we are trying our very best to get choir, band, we're trying to build our middle school feeder programs into our high schools. So we're putting a tremendous amount of emphasis into getting those courses going again. As you know, one time in our district, you may know, we kind of deviated from that model and had Many of the electives offered at only one school,
Right.
so we're starting to rebound from that. City has a phenomenal band, which all students from the Grand Rapids Public Schools, if they want to participate in that band, they can. But we're trying to build the programs up at Ottawa and Union
Okay.
Innovation
Yeah,
Central
sure,
as well.
yeah.
Well, National Academy, I mean, this sounds like an incredible
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah.
Lots of
And,
resources,
exciting.
yes. We thought the same.
and also, I think that, I mean, at some point we gotta figure out when the rest of the board sees it, but I think it's really significant to know that this is, you know, there's national standards and that we're fitting into these
Right,
national
absolutely.
standards. And, I mean, I noticed at the bottom that the way, bottom of one of the pages, it was linked, it talked about the way courses link to the Common Core standards and, you know, that this is, you know, these are well-vetted academic courses. They're not just some guy from the restaurant industry talking to students. So,
Absolutely.
And they're having much success all over the country.
yeah.
Some of the strengths of the academy model as it relates to NAF itself, and we're looking to help move these areas within Ottawa Hills to advance our students' work. And so we're looking at improved graduation rates, higher percentage of college-bound students, increased participation in early middle college or early college dual enrollment, and then paid and unpaid internships. And the last one there is students are equipped to enter the workforce with the workforce skills that will lead them to a pretty substantial job. We were in Pinckney High School yesterday, and they don't use a NAF model, but they have a program because we're really looking at career skills, and so they have a cybersecurity model that they're using over there that they talked about. One of the kids left the program and got hired into Delphi, I believe, and six-figure income because he had the necessary skill sets to move into.
Did you guys try to enroll in the program? So,
Oh, absolutely.
We saw a program in Pinckney, which is by the outlets on 96.
Oh, right,
Right?
okay.
I'm familiar
Howell?
with that. Howell, yeah, so a couple exits past that on the way to Detroit. You get off the highway
Yep.
and you drive for about 20 minutes and you drive through some dirt roads like Mr. Lewis and I did yesterday. And what we saw is essentially a comprehensive high school with a wing devoted to career pathways, one of which was cybersecurity, where they have tables of robotic arms that are, you know, $1 million. And just it was amazing to see what could potentially happen here in the Grand Rapids Public Schools, because their building and their academy was a result of passing a bond. All right, so it was very interesting, the parallels that we saw yesterday. Of course, a district with 3 schools, but it was really amazing what we saw.
When you say 3 schools, 3 high schools, or you mean 3
3
feeders?
schools, an elementary, a middle,
Oh,
and a high
oh,
school.
oh, only 3, okay.
3 schools, yeah, so what
So
we're
there
trying to
weren't
do at a
many
smaller
kids, yeah.
scale, the high school was about an 1,100 student high school that we saw yesterday, with a wing kind of devoted to the career pathway piece, with lots of partnerships, Cisco being one, where they go through the Cisco process to certify all of the students. So we just continue fact-finding, and we think as a result of all these fact-finding missions that we're going on, will make Ottawa's program phenomenal.
So the last slide that I have here for you guys is a slide that we've looked at in previous settings like this. And so this is a proposed or suggested launch of some academies that have been selected. As Dr. Gorman said, we're not locked into any of them, but we think they're all could be substantial for our students at Ottawa Hills and within the district itself.
Will cosmetology be kind of expensive to start up?
So yeah, so when we're putting in the upgrades at Ottawa Hills, of course, there are going to be lots of spaces that are set aside for these academies. I mean, there will be costs. I think that the business partnerships will be very helpful as we start to build. You know, we see this as not being just a resource for the Grand Rapids Public Schools, but also a resource for the community. One thing that we noticed yesterday in the school that we visited was The cybersecurity program that was created not only supports the students in the school, but also supports veterans, also supports persons in the community who are looking to get maybe a different credential, a different certification to do something different. So they had lots of ways to help fund many of their programs that were some of the outside the box thinking. So of course, we're hoping with the bond to put lots of bells and whistles in Ottawa Hills because our students deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. But we know that partnerships and other revenue streams are going to happen to make all these things come to fruition.
So as of now, presuming that, there's not a lot of change, would this be reflective of your expected proposal to proceed with this timeline or something that looks like it? Or is it, in other words, is cosmetology and public safety, is that fairly far down the line? You think that you would like to propose it in a year, or we're still at a place where any of these could be proposed?
Yeah, that it may not be the sequence, but it may.
Yeah, well, actually, I do want to know, is this what the work, are you preparing for this sequence currently, or can it be shifted around? I would imagine some of it has to do with expense, like getting advanced manufacturing going in a year would require quite a few partnerships and somebody buying some stuff that, would be could be expensive, so.
So if I can address the advanced manufacturing, that would be partnering with CC. What we would recommend, if the board chooses to go this way, would be that we use MTech and not purchase. You're talking $1 million for some of the equipment, $150,000, $300,000. And so it would be partnering. So that would be one on that. But the sequence of the programs that you have here, obviously they are up for the board for discussion. The only one that we are absolutely set on is the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism.
Okay.
The board may not change its mind
Right,
on
because
that
we're
one.
already
Obviously,
down,
we're enrolling children, students for that program. But I do think that everything else here is something that you guys should discuss on when is the best time to roll out either these programs or other programs. But I would caution you that you need over 12 months to figure out whatever it is, even with the NAF partnership, because you have to get staff, you have to train people, there's so much to do, and I think that's part of the work is for Rodney, for Ron, and others to say, in order to open up a small school, part of the next presentation is what does it really take?
Right.
And so if you create a process, then you don't worry about which school it is so much as 12 to 18 months in advance, you go through the process. Make sense, Dr. Baker?
Yeah, so with that in mind, and with certainly, I would hope that we open hospitality this year, we're opening something else next year,
Right, no doubt.
So that means that pretty soon, a
That's right.
decision needs to be made as to what's going to be open next year. And presumably, while you're still superintendent, or, so that means that this is work that's being done or needs to be done quick.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So it is my hope that once this committee will have the opportunity to go through the process of a small school, and we go to the full board, that you guys will give us somewhere to land. It doesn't have to be cosmetology. It could be Academy of Production. That's just up there. I think that the board should have the staff look at job opportunities and partnerships and who's on deck. And then that will decide which schools, right?
Should cost be a factor in this at all?
The money is, no,
Nothing.
because
No, but
extra,
it might be
there's your
cheaper.
pension, right?
But I think there, but I
Leave my
think,
pension alone.
I
But
think
mean,
there's a
some of
couple
these-
things. One is the establishment of partnerships. And so when you say, should money be a factor, I think that it's all relative, right? Because you're gonna hire teachers. You need to find out how many students you have that are interested. What's the marketing? But you'll have a budget that's needed for each one of these schools. Money absolutely could be a factor, but it also could be how many people are gonna come to the table. And so you have to give partners a voice right? Before you say, this is positively the school that I'm going to open, because someone may have a grant coming down the pike in 2 years, right? Which may cause you to change this order.
No, I just meant, you know, like, if we were going to talk about opening another one up for next year, I think maybe public safety might be easier than cosmetology as far as all the stuff that you might need to, you know.
Well, let's,
But I wouldn't get caught up on the order, you guys.
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
change
Yeah.
those right now. I could sit and type
Oh,
and
okay.
change those.
right.
I would,
This is, nothing's carved in stone.
this is a process. You want to look at a process. At some point, you will have to decide pretty quickly which schools. It could be 5 totally different schools, right? You will have to decide as the board which schools will go into this particular school, right? The only one that's been decided, or the only one that you can't change is the first one. But think of 5 other ones. The
I-
staff will go do the
Yeah,
homework.
I think that, well, I mean, this is my perspective, you guys. I think that it's, because the board won't be doing the job I mean, maybe we'll offer, I mean, I certainly want to get institutions I'm connected to consider being partners on some of these. But I would say that, but the board won't do the work of deciding what the market impact is.
Exactly,
What
right.
the, who the competitors are. I mean, I don't know whether or not there are other schools doing
Yeah, I don't
cosmetology or public safety. But administration would be expected to
Right.
do that. I think that what I think is more important is that we have an approval process that the administration makes a case for what's next.
Right.
And we don't have to, we could have,
That makes sense.
we could have a blank slate here
Exactly.
and just say that each year there's an expectation that I mean, our model is, and maybe we could even vote on this, but our model is to fill Ottawa Hills High School to capacity
Right.
with a general education
Yeah.
program,
That's it.
a middle college program, and academies that meet the needs of
That's right,
students and in the local economy. And so that's our vague
That's
thing.
right.
And we're committed to those 3 entities, general ed, middle college, academies. And that those are the things that we're trying to, and that as things get added into it, as it relates to academies, we would not be approved, we would not, we teach general education, we teach a Michigan Merit curriculum, so we obviously wouldn't be doing that. The middle college program is set, the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism is set. So the only thing that's gonna be added is either more students to the existing
Right.
programs or new academies.
Okay, that's right.
And it's the new academies that we want to have the approval process. And we would only be approving the administration's efforts to create an academy. We would not be approving
The academy.
courses or
That's correct.
structures or whatever. So
That's correct.
with that, and I think that this goes back to this leads us into the next thing, which is the Center of Innovation
That's right.
thing. But I don't think that we don't need to go through that and then change it completely, because to some extent, I was thinking that you guys have in a way, this PowerPoint sets up in a kind of broad parameters, minus a few things, but for the most part, a process. So you, I mean, I was just writing it down. If you, how does the academy prepare career readiness? Okay, so you would be saying, okay, this academy
Right.
is going to work with, let's do something that we haven't talked, aerospace, you know? And the way we're gonna do aerospace is that we're gonna work with NASA.
Right.
And NASA's gonna, and that's how we're gonna get those 120 hours.
That's right.
And, you know, Western Michigan University has agreed to teach 2 courses in astronomy or whatever, you know? I mean, I think that would be that part of the process. I like the academy model strengths. So how will this academy improve graduation rates? How will it improve college readiness? And you would be expected to illustrate that this academy does these things.
That's right.
And then, I don't know, I mean, if we wanna look at the other one, at the Center of Innovation too, but any other, before I just take over?
Well, and I think how we communicate that to Grand Rapids in terms of families beginning or choosing to to bring their kids back. You know, for families to really decide, wow, I like what's happening there, or my son or daughter went to that open house, and it's really intriguing what they're doing there. And so much more specifically, really helping them have a decision on saying, we want to reinvest in here because look at what they're doing. And it's so natural, you know, from K through high school, and then certainly our broader community of the colleges that are close, as well as the further ones if they want to continue on higher ed. And so those things, I think, are going to really help our public know that while they have thought of all these things, and whether I'm community-based or whether I'm choosing to go into Ottawa or what other school, that I can see my son or daughter doing that. And that's really exciting. that
I agree.
pre-planning that I
So
see you
for
guys doing.
every academy, as well as all of our schools, we have a marketing plan that is a part of it. And that, for the small schools, these small schools, we will continue to market. That's part of the strength of Grand Rapids Public Schools, is that we do market to the broader community. When you think of Innovation Central, 6 years ago was a concept, and we have over 1,000 kids there. And it is the small school model where students have chosen this. We're hoping the same thing will happen at Ottawa Hills, that we will be able to turn that around and give young people an opportunity for a college or career or whatever that is, but at least they would have a taste of what some of the options are.
So how does this, and I think that would be nice is just to kind of just kind of brainstorm for a little bit about what should a process. So I think that when I think of the Center of Innovation application, it seems like something that an outside group would propose to the administration to consider. And I think that this is different.
This is different.
And what this is that theoretically, I think that work happens before it comes to the board. So there could be, and we can call it whatever we want, but I'm thinking of an academy approval process for the board. That at some point, there would be a document that is prepared for the board to propose a new academy.
That is correct.
And in that, and so it may be that the Center of Innovation, or since, I mean, it sounds like we're doing a process that's not necessary. It's not like people are applying to be centers of innovation. I mean, I know that's happened, but really there's some determination that there's a market need. So I'm thinking of the school, the Teacher Cadet Academy, the Academy of Teaching and Learning. There was an analysis, a market analysis, right? There are not enough teachers, and specifically there are not enough teachers who are from cities like Grand Rapids. Okay, so we know that the marketplace needs employees in this arena, and we want our students to be able to access these opportunities. Then there's, how do we do it? So we create a curriculum, we create a model, we create partners, who's going to assist us, and how are we going to pay for it? So all this stuff, how is it going to recruit students from across the city? I do think one of the great parts about this academy model, as people question us about the segregation of the city, is that the academy model should move people from throughout the city.
That's
That
right.
even though we might be
It's
bound.
intended for that,
Yeah,
too.
I mean, and the neighborhood schools do leave us in neighborhoods that
That's
tend to
right.
be segregated, but academies bring us from across the city.
That's right.
So we can cross boundaries. And then we end up saying, okay, well, we met all of these criteria. Let's bring it to the board and ask them to approve this as our next academy. And then same with hospitality. There's some, there's partners, there's finances, there's market analysis, there's an interest, there's there's a void in the opportunities, so nobody's offering this, so that way we're not competing with so there's not 20 school districts doing hospitality management, and then people can go anywhere, and the ISD, et cetera, so how do we fit this in, so.
That was one takeaway that Mr. Lewis and I had from Pinckney yesterday, whereas Pinckney was offering cybersecurity, a school 10 miles up the road was offering a cosmetology program, and another school was offering something else. they, in that particular county, they were able to pull students from other schools into their schools for a portion of the day. So they wouldn't become GRPS students, but a portion of that FTE, right, is paid to the Grand Rapids Public Schools for this. So it's another way to get students into that particular program. If they live in Cedar Springs, Kentwood, wherever,
Yeah.
if it's such a fantastic program, that could be an opportunity as well.
I'd like to make one point of clarification, though. Dr. Baker, I'm not sure if I understood or misunderstood. If the ISD offers a program that does not have anything to do with Grand Rapids offering a program, don't do that.
Well, yeah, as I was saying it, I realized
Okay,
that.
so I just-
But I think that
yeah,
what
I
I'm
just
saying is that if there's a program that somebody else offers and our students can't, we would want
No
to
doubt.
show that our students need access to this.
Absolutely, that's right,
Right.
that's right.
And so I think that and I think that, I certainly know that people whose geography gets them to Ottawa Hills
Right.
are going to have a problem getting to
Exactly. So
Knapp's
just,
Corner.
just so the
so
record
anyway.
shows that.
Yeah, but I know I'm not, and there could be capacity for more than one
Absolutely,
program,
no
right?
doubt.
And I'm not suggesting that if Cedar Springs does something, we can't do it.
Right, right.
But it's just that we would have a market analysis of who's gonna take, this classes and stuff, so. So I don't know, do you guys, what are other things that need to be in it, or should we pull up
Do you
this
want-
COI?
Yeah, so maybe Mary Jo
transition to that
can,
piece of the
yeah.
agenda?
And at least, there may be a way for both to exist. And at some point, you may want to even say, if it's an outside group, like we did with University Prep, that's a COI application.
Right.
Where internally is this application. So we may
Yeah.
be able to do something like
And that I think probably needs to be updated for that purpose.
Yeah, so that,
But that's still, I still see that, I mean, maybe the board would sign off on it, but it's not it still seems like that's something that goes to the administration before it
Yeah.
comes to us.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So actually, do you have, is that up? Oh,
Oh,
it
you
was
want-
on somebody's computer. That's okay. I think
I know I have,
we have it here.
you guys sent it to
I
us.
just got used to looking at that screen.
And I can write if you have edits.
Dr.
Yeah.
Baker, we have people here that are willing to scribe as well, if you need both Bridget and Kurt Johnson. If you want
Okay,
to
cool.
capture any of your ideas, we can do that throughout the Center of Innovation process.
Okay, cool. Let's just, yeah, because let's just go ahead. We can actually, so what we're using this document as a template for what we're talking about for the academies, but we are not rewriting the Center of Innovation application. That's something that the administration could do if they like. Although we do need to update this letter regardless.
I know.
Sent me the wrong thing or something.
Yeah, I saw that in there,
No.
but I see how.
And so if we just want to go through and then just see, I mean, I would say that it would be nice to create a document that looks like this for the academy proposal
Yeah.
process. And call it the academy proposal process instead of,
If we could,
oh, that's what those things are cool.
yeah, we just
Cool.
want to capture some of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Some more of a work session.
Yeah.
Capture some of your thoughts so we can share with you guys.
Yeah.
So it's not in the minutes, but just kind of big buckets, if there's something that you would like to see
Okay, cool.
us do.
Well, let's just start with,
Can I just make a suggestion, Kurt? If you want to turn yours around so that,
Oh, Mr. Johnson,
I just have a suggestion. If you want to turn it around so the board can see what you're writing.
and the same.
yes, Kurt's not writing. These people are full of.
We definitely want to see what you're
Like,
writing.
that's gonna happen.
He wants to show you his very nice manuscript.
We chose these two for a reason.
All right, so before I take up, I've been kind of holding it. What are some general things before we get started? And we can actually just start with the title page. What do we want to call this thing? Kim, you've been quiet, so.
I'm just taking it all in. I guess, so this is what an outside entity would propose to the
No.
district?
We're deciding, we're creating developing a document that the administration would bring to the board. This is a
Okay,
document that had
got
been used in the past as an outside, so like last time we learned about the request years ago to create the Music Academy. So this would be what that entity would have used. But that's not what we're doing here. We're just using this as a template for creating
Okay.
academy.
Internal.
Okay,
And-
because I understood all you were saying about like an approval process for the academies.
So this would be,
Okay,
this would be what Rodney Lewis's team would bring to the board to get us to approve a new academy. So,
I would just give a couple of examples of what I heard you say, Dr. Baker, and that was, you liked that opening piece where it gave an overview and then the strengths of the program.
yeah,
So you're looking for categories
Right.
like that.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, so
An
broad
overview.
categories.
An overview
yeah,
is something
yeah,
that you would want.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. A
Any
description.
suggestions for our title page, just Academy Review Proposal, or?
Proposal.
Yeah, Academy Proposal process.
Yeah, I think in terms of that is really being truthful about what some of where our current issues are, you know, whether it's the graduation rate and where it's at, and then as this process moves forward, what we're looking at and the data behind that. Hey, our graduation rate is 75%, and we're really looking at a 90% growth based on those things. So really bringing us some nice data around just looking at ourselves and saying, this is where we're at, this is what we're seeing, and then whatever these opportunities that you're suggesting of a program that you're thinking of.
So,
The needs
Well-
it meets, is what I'm hearing you say.
and things
Yep.
like graduation rates and stuff, that could be overarching for all academies. It wouldn't necessarily be, but it could be a good opener to this document. And even that NAF website could give us some of that, you know, proof of how they've grown, school graduation rates and such. But I liked all of your suggestions. I think that the document that they presented for Ottawa Hills tonight answers some of those questions. You know, how does this help with career readiness, and how does this help with college
Right, yeah, that's.
prep? So those would be two things we would want answers
And maybe include-
specifically for that academy.
Career prep too, college and career.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then one thing I thought of that I don't know if you mentioned, but also what colleges near us have programs that this would feed into very easily.
yeah, so this is kind of a brainstorming of this, so, yeah, that's good. So what colleges, so if we're doing college and career, so if I graduate, like if I'm at the health professions at Innovation Central, I can graduate and I can go to GRCC, or Ferris has a College of Health Professions. Or I can go work at Life EMS. So those are two specific. So what are those post-secondary options? So we must, and if there's no college programs to send them to, or there's no jobs to send them
Right.
to, or there's no MTech centers, or, you know, so if our students are gonna have to leave the state to go find a program, then it doesn't make no sense. So that's good.
Did you want to connect that with the historically black colleges and universities?
Well, yeah, and I think that any colleges, so yes, we would want to keep our kids close by. We want them to not go into, you know, we want to highlight careers that are available in Grand Rapids, but just a list of colleges that we know have programs that this would feed into.
Yeah, and, well, in schools that we're trying to do. Yeah, that's right, so like black colleges. So it's really pathways, what is the pathway?
Yeah.
But did you mean having colleges nearby that could offer those courses? Is that what you originally meant?
Oh, well, no. I think obviously that's important if we're talking about them being able to graduate with college credit. But,
I think you mean like hospitality would, I mean, Michigan State has one of the best, and, you know, you could suggest that that might be a place where you could continue your
Yes.
education. And
yes, so that parents and students can see like, oh, I could graduate from GRPS, and then these would be some options of higher ed, yeah.
Kathy, where did you go to school?
I like the idea of coming with your partners. So you sat around the table, or even if you've been approached and they're saying, hey, we have this pot of, or this resource, and we're willing to partner because of that niche that we have, and then how you're going to help prepare these kids to meet those needs. That helps them think outside the box as well as companies, because now they can leverage their ability to then, hey, we're going to then broaden our niche as a company because we already have this feeder system that's going to help us to do that. So the partnerships that that are either going to come to the table or you're going to approach with these mutual benefits that you're going to get as a result of that is I like that idea.
And,
That's on the point, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to make the connection back to Ron and Rodney's presentation about the partner's responsibility to help develop curriculum. I don't know if that's what you were connecting it with.
Yeah, because obviously if it's already been done, we're then researching. You guys are researching those pieces, and certainly some of the tweaking of that will come naturally from those partners, and if they have the resources of that as well.
So then the approval would say, okay, here's who our partners are, and this is what they're going to do to contribute to success.
I'm not sure if this would fit in with this document that would be presented to the board, but at some point, I would be curious as to how we go about getting partners, and is it just hearsay who we know, or are we opening it up, you know, making sure people know about this opportunity in the community?
So what I'm hearing you say is maybe include in this a process for securing partners?
Yes.
You know, whether it's through local industry, you know, they have their own organizations, different, you know, industries get together.
Yeah.
The right place, the
Yeah,
different.
I mean,
Is
it'd
that
be
what you-
wonderful if we had almost, at some point, if we had multiple businesses competing for who's gonna get to partner with GRPS, because this is amazing, you know, so.
Yeah, I do think that's, yeah, and where that happens, and maybe it should be put in there, because it could say, I mean, I think especially as we learn that there are multiple universities that have hospitality management programs, you know, we wouldn't want to be accused of favor. I mean, I know Grand Valley is supporting this one, and I think that that's fine because they stepped up to the plate and offered it, and so, yeah, I think that we could get, huh? Yeah, so I think that's, you know, that's part of it. I mean, it could be just, this is who our partners are, and this is why they're our partners.
But having a clear process would,
Yeah.
you know, help navigate.
And so maybe some,
That
kind
conversation.
of think about what you think the board needs to know in terms of that. I don't think that we want to decide how you develop partnerships. That would be,
do we reach out to all the colleges? Do we reach out to, you know, Western and State and U of M and everything we reach out to? So they just have to indicate they're interested, and then we jump.
but some of it is like, is an ask too. Would you help us?
Right.
You know, it's not just
Well,
So-
some have, as you all described already, they have natural links. You know, if they already have a hospitality
Right.
program, you know, you're going to connect in with CC, state.
I think that I'd like to, I mean, that's something that we should be sensitive to, is how do we choose that? So, I mean, and it may be just an administration that's aware that, you know, well, Ferris has this program, we want to give Grand Valley a chance, and we want to give Western a chance, so that way we're not especially, and I think that if that is separate from the board, it insulates the board from it being political.
Well, yes, I agree.
I mean, part of it is, I mean, I know that I've played a role with the Ferris in the School of Education, but I feel confident that it wasn't my role as a board member that led to the decision to do that, that's something that happened somewhere else.
The other area of this that we're going to see some of that in is in internships.
Right.
So just what's the process about getting different partners with internships and, yeah, making
also would
sure
like to-
people in the community know about
Yeah.
that opportunity.
To use our kids, yeah.
I'd like to suggest too, opportunities for staff preparation or even advancement. So if I'm a teacher
Yeah.
and I really enjoy culinary arts, and all of a sudden I find out that there's an opportunity for me to come to become certified, and then maybe move into another arena or expanding my abilities. I'm a writer, but and so how would you
Faculty connection, yeah.
as a team then open that up to our current teacher staff to perhaps
So as a board, what do you want to know from that process? Do you want to know what the process was to select staff?
I would say,
No,
What
like,
are you looking for?
no, just that as you talk with the union and you talk with teachers and teachers have an opportunity to say, boy, maybe I'd like to buy into that. How would I do that? Or if I have to do some CEUs or other things, well, how would you guys?
That would not be the CEUs. It would be
Or-
if you have to be certified in a particular area, it's the same process right now, if you have to be certified in second language.
Okay.
There is language in their contract of what to do, what classes they have to take,
Okay.
and how do we partner, right?
Yep.
So an example would be our Urban Ed program at Davenport. There's an opportunity for current GRPS teachers that would like to get a master's in urban education to enroll at Davenport University and use a placement there at Innovation Central. This would be the same. We would not use this opportunity to seek people out to practice and train on our kids. Right? So it would be their normal process.
Oh, right.
What I
Yeah.
think, what I think does
Absolutely.
connect to this is basically a sustainability plan. So you're recruiting lead teachers who are going to follow through programs. So
We would recruit teachers, but what we are not in the business of is creating that learning environment for people to get certified in a certain area. They would partner with the university,
Right.
right?
Right.
If they want to have continuing education credits, they could do that.
Right.
That is not this, though.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be the role of the,
That's the partners in the university. If they say, I want to offer credit, if you want to do that, then that would come out of that partnership,
Yep.
right? But not for us to say, hey, do you want to go back to school to learn how to be this? Right.
So a couple things, and then I would like to just go quickly through this. I know, let's, if we can try to be done by 6, but, because it's almost 1:45, but there are I'm thinking that one thing that we need to make sure we have in there, and I think you have data up there, is that what is the market?
That's-
We need to have, there needs to be a second that says,
That would be important.
this career track is needed. The other thing that was mentioned, I've
Interest.
mentioned a couple times, what is the interest in it? Now, to some extent, we have to generate interest, so it could be
That's
just,
right.
because, I mean, people, 8th graders aren't thinking, I want to grow up and run
Right.
a hotel, right? So how do you do that? But there's some market research. The categories that were in your document, so how does this help college readiness? How does this help career readiness? How does this help graduation rates? So those categories that are already in the other document. Any expenses, how are we going to pay for it? I think what equipment is needed. So there needs to be a budget. Well, I mean, not necessarily a budget, but
It has to be something.
yeah, I
that's
guess
right.
something
Yes,
like,
that's right.
a financial plan or
Expensive.
whatever.
And I think it should have a drop dead date, right? So if you're gonna open a school in 2021,
Yeah.
then that drop dead date for anyone to bring information would have to be this date, whatever that is. Because it takes a minute, for us to pick a
Why
school.
why don't we just put a
so-
timeline on it?
Yeah. I
Just
think
basically a
that's really
timeline
important.
that this is, so the board can say, okay, how are we gonna get this done in this timeline, so.
Would this document be where we would want to know the curriculum already?
No, because
'cause
the
we would
curriculum, we
develop that
wouldn't
as we
choose
go.
a curriculum.
That's right.
So I think that it is important that, we might wanna know what's the, curriculum, I don't know what the white.
You would know the broad,
The
like.
curriculum
Possible
frame. So if it's
classes.
an NAF,
Yeah, you would know.
I would
everything.
want to know if it's NAF. The
Yeah.
Teacher Academy was used with, there's a different organization
Right.
that's used. So what's the broad, so this
Yep.
isn't again just,
Yeah,
we
like
would
what-
want to know that there's some curriculum support entity.
What's, and also like, just a broad list of skills that would be developed.
Yeah, okay.
I do think, though, that part of it is, one of the recommendations that I would want the board to have is, for each of these small schools, you need soft skills. They're not soft, but I think that should be a part of every single curriculum you bring on board, is how do we begin to teach our students how to assimilate in these organizations? Because it's not enough that they get trained and people allow them in, but how do we teach them to go in? Make sense?
Is it accessing the middle-class work world?
Yeah, and so whatever the board would call that, I would say
I
this.
wouldn't want to call it that, but I get
But
what you're saying.
whatever you call that, one of the things we found in DC and Atlanta and other places, they all had 1 or 2 days or a half day where young people were just taught some soft skills.
Is that maybe, this is totally brainstorming, but is that maybe for the future, something that could be for all academies, a
I think
summer
so, I
week
think
or
so.
something, like
And I
something
think
before they even
ongoing,
start?
Right? I think it's ongoing and you need to build it in, because people may assume that you know the proper dress or how to behave or how to access, you know what I mean? And so I think that the board should be committed to teaching these young people how to do that.
That could be in
Right.
just actually with that, can we look at the COI document? I just think that, I think that we'll get some of these questions answered. So, because I was thinking of, that fits under what you have as these guiding principles.
Yeah, hard work effort.
You
Okay.
could say guiding principles, you know, career and college.
Right.
Skill development,
Yep.
including, so, I mean, you could put this, so, but if we go all the way to the front, so, Superintendent Neal, this would be, you know, just a request for, I think that this would be a really nice, if you rework this document to reflect the development in so basically
Okay.
GRPS Academy way or
I
what's
love
up to
that.
go with your,
We could do that.
and to actually create a letter from you that
Mm-hmm.
says, this is how we got here, why we
Okay.
got here, and why we would move forward with
Got it.
this,
That's
and
great.
have a letter at the end.
We can
And
do that.
it has some of the stuff here, just some of these ideas, but it kind of sets a framework, and I also think it allows the board to kind of acknowledge the legacy of the work that's been done over the last 7 years. So I think that would be nice. The next stuff, and maybe this is just, you know, Helmholtz world or whatever, but, you know, just defining this and the guiding principles, I think that is important. What is the guiding principles for why we're doing this academy? And some of it we've mentioned, it's preparing our students for the 21st century, or whatever, the college and careers. But it's also partnering with, being closely connected to our economic community.
Yeah. That's
It's to break down segregated education models and just say it up front. It's one of the things that we want to do. And I think it also keeps us away from we need to have this at Union too, because it's not fair that they don't
Right.
get it. No, this is for Union also, this is
Right.
for the Northeast side, et cetera. So what are the kind of key guiding principles of this? And I think that, we've been talking about all of them.
I think there's one other piece I think is important for the district coming from the board, and it goes back to budget. When you commit to a budget and you commit to small schools, I think you're also committing to someone, I don't know who that is, a position, a coordinator or someone to go out in the industry. Because you can't expect these organizations to take these kids on and have to call out 5 different principals or 6 principals. Someone needs to own this. And right now, this has been Rodney Lewis for me, but I think someone needs to own this, because when our kids may get into a pickle in an organization somewhere, right?
Well, actually, a
We need
place,
to know that.
a place that you can put that. So again, I'm just following along. So, from the COI one, there's a page that says commitment to innovation. And on that, it says Center of Innovation may have a board consisting of da-da-da-da. We don't, obviously, I don't want that on
Right.
there. But what you could say is, academy model, and then you could just put it, okay, there is a coordinator
That's
of
right. Because I think
academies.
that's important
There
for the
is-
community to know.
And you, again, going back to the document that you guys just showed us, there's a curriculum development process, there's a course adoption process. You can actually just put those things in this,
Yep.
on this page. And anything else that needs to, and you can actually say, this is the process. Coordinator of
That's right.
academies,
That's right.
checks with partners, prepares market analysis, et cetera. Step 2, academy proposal comes to the board, you know, all the way through. It can just be informative. The next page is a review process. And again, this is just a board review process, not the total review process. And then it gets into just this, on this document, it says memorandum of intent, but it just says some basic things, name a proposed academy. And then it has, you know, other but it's like industry partners, market analysis, you know, et cetera. And then these are just these categories that we just listed, which I think probably needs to be pared down a little bit.
But I think your point is well taken, Dr. Baker. I think that this may be a great process for the staff to go through. And we obviously will update this, but a good process for the staff to go through when we're deciding, when they're deciding which schools, right? To walk through some of these questions, it may begin to frame, you know, we thought that was a good idea, that may not be. So before it even get to the board, by answering some of these questions, it may deep six it right there. So this may be just a good process.
Yeah, and there's actually a proposed timeline in this document.
Yeah.
So you could
Good.
actually just redo that and
Yeah.
say, when does it come to the board?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a different categories, but, you know, you can just actually put that in there. And then,
A year and a half. It takes
Yeah.
about 18 months, though, by
Yeah.
the time you hire people and train them in PD and negotiate. I mean, it's a long process, and so if everyone understands that, then you wouldn't have someone to say, oh, let's open this basket weaving school, because it sounds good to me, right? If they follow the process.
so is there anything else that should be in this document? And again, I think that some of these can be combined and everything, but Kurt's got 17 items so far, so.
Yeah, I mean, those are, I mean, it's a good starting point. And certainly, as has been done before, they're really going to be able to tweak it. I mean, you guys know what you're doing, and so that's really exciting, man.
And we really have to, I mean, because as I think the board know, I mean, we get hit a lot with not what classes are people teaching, but how come
Yeah.
the museum school, you know? Why are we doing
Yeah.
museum school? And some people think it's great, and some people think it's like, well, these are the reasons every board member should know why we're doing the museum school.
That's right.
Certainly
Yep.
the board members that were there when we created it.
Yep.
You know, if we do a public safety, well, we have to, the Academy of Teaching and Learning, I think, is fairly easy. So people, that's just, oh, great, you guys are doing something. But if it's public safety, it's a bit more controversial. How do we defend our decisions? And I think that even if we disagreed with an academy, we could say, yes, but the market analysis showed that there was a need in this area. I might disagree whether or not GRPS should do it, but yet 6 board members agreed that we should do it, so we're doing it. And I think that then we can move forward and have ownership over these academies. In the same way that if we were building a new school, we would go through these processes, but this way, and in a way, these are new schools.
Well, your guiding principles help set the
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
Right.
So they need guiding principles
Right,
first.
right.
I would ask the board to give thought to how far in advance would you want this information? Right, you obviously don't want us to get too far down the road, and we don't want to get too far down the road. So time for the board to say, yes, we need more information. So is that 12 months? That gives us 6 months to work on it. I mean, 12 months?
I
in
think at
advance, or-
least
You
12,
think 12
probably.
months? Okay.
I don't know I think it's before it's too late. Like, it would be too late to bring us this hospitality management, right?
Yeah.
That's like, well.
Right.
We can't
Right.
say no.
So
But,
maybe 12
I mean,
months, because we
I think
started
12
this over a year ago.
But I
Yeah.
also want to think that but I would like to start an academy in fall of 20. Another academy, at least one new academy.
So it's almost like the work is,
Yeah, so if
needs to
it's,
start, if it hasn't already.
Okay.
yeah,
no.
so that means that we would need to decide before
Pretty
at
quickly.
least August that we have
What
an
are you
academy.
doing?
So I'm concerned about time here. I'd like to have this happen before you leave.
Okay.
And I don't know how much, and there's a few things that need to get done between now and the time you leave, like graduations, so, and getting people graduated. But is it possible to get a document?
We will start on it right
By,
away.
say, and we could do a June meeting where
That's
we would
right.
propose that, and then we could actually vote on it in June.
Absolutely.
And we could vote on this as a document.
Yep,
And by voting on it as a document, I think that we're also committing to the academy model.
that's right. We
And
can
I'd
get
like
this
that
done right
done while
away.
you're still here.
We have quite a bit of information, and we will take it back, get the team together, take a stab at it, send it out to this group, small group here, though.
Okay,
Tell us if we're on the right path, and let us know when you're ready. We'll have it done, absolutely.
yeah. I
And then
think-
you're saying that before Teresa leaves, you'd like to have an academy for the following year?
No,
This
this
process.
document.
approval
All this
process.
This document.
So then it becomes a part of the permanent record, so right away, we can start on another academy, but at least we will have this down.
We know that in order to start that academy, we would have to do
We're gonna
this.
do all the
XYZ.
homework for you.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But that does, I mean, obviously, if we start one in fall of 20,
That's okay,
then people got to start thinking about it, but we don't need to think about it. The
Right.
board doesn't need to think about it.
but we
the-
need to
the
bring
administration
something
has
to
to.
you right away,
Yeah.
and which is what we'll do. But first, we're gonna bring you this. Now, we
Okay.
may turn around 2 weeks later and say, we're thinking about this academy.
All right, right.
Right.
So we're bringing the template.
The template
Right.
is what we're gonna
Yep.
do, so the board will vote on the process.
Yeah.
That's what, and
So-
that's what the team will.
So basically, we'll have something that looks like the COI
Like COI.
document, that the board will say, yes, this is our review, this is how we expect the process to happen. And by doing that, we are agreeing to the process, which means that we're also agreeing to
Some of the
the
components of
idea
it.
of the academy.
Absolutely.
And I think that it makes it very clear what we're looking for when we approve
That's
an
right.
academy. And we can say, yes, we approve this academy, or we can say, we need a little more information here. And, yeah, I think it'll be great.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
And to
Awesome.
some extent, our constituents also comment,
That's
because
right.
it's going to be an open
Right, as
process
we-
that
That's
they're going
right,
to be involved
very
in.
open.
And so-
Sometimes they comment.
That's right.
Yeah. And we want that.
And usually
because-
on Facebook. No, but I think that
That's
does
right.
create a
That's
process,
right.
because it's better for us, I mean, that's what I said before, it's better for us to hear from the community before we make a decision,
That's
because
right.
we'll definitely hear from them afterwards.
That's
and-
right.
And I want their input.
And
know,
you
so-
want their input,
so.
right?
All right, fantastic, this is great, cool. So, we're gonna check on the May 2nd, we are gonna plan on it, but we might change it to the 16th, and we'll be discussing the teacher evaluation. And then in June, this will come back to the board, to the committee.
And
Okay.
anything else that you would like us to do for June, just let us know.
Okay.
We'll just get a team on it right away so that we can bring you whatever it is you need.
All right, cool.
okay?
Great.
Thank you.
We will share these notes so you can give thought to, and then we'll give it to Diane to put in the official minutes, but we'll just share the notes with you.
Okay.
So you guys at least can say this is really what I meant, or more clarification.
Okay,
Okay, great.
thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, meeting is adjourned.